Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. Hey, look, we get into a little bit more on the shootings that took place in El Paso and Ohio. I'm on the road right now, so y'all bear with me while we get everything together. But I don't like how the right-wingers, if you want to call them right-wingers, are not taking responsibility for their rhetoric. They don't want to take the responsibility that some of the words that they use sparks the flame of racism. The flame of racism in America that was sparked initially 1555 by John Hardy Hawkins. They say, well, it's racist for minorities to want to tear down or have taken down the Confederate statues. When the Confederate statues keeps the flame burning. You have a young white male who in his DNA and his subconscious mind believes at his core that black people belong as slaves, who believes that the problems that they faced in the world are due to the freedom of their black slaves, and that way it set them at poverty. They were never able to regain from poverty, and the government owes them money for freeing the slaves that they purchased. They feel as though they're justified with their racism because they feel as though they're revenging their ancestors until the government bows to their demand and their will and pay them for lost slave wages or loss of property, meaning the property of a human being, which is psychotic and it should have never been. And how can you even fix your grafted brain to even make such a claim? It's ridiculous. You're totally going against the creation of humankind. Men wasn't created to be the property of other men based upon I overpowered you, I kidnapped you, I put fear into you, I cut off your limbs, I cut off babies from pregnant women's stomachs so I can exalt myself as your ruler, and then I'll take what we call God's son and I'll paint him white and bow down to me. No. Now you did have such things called indentured servants, true, meaning someone, it was a form of retribution. Someone stole your horse, you found them, look man, 5 years indentured servant till you work out the price of this horse. I need some hay baled, I need you to go till this land for me while I sit back and do other things which will add to. That was the purpose of indentured servants. Not the brute, not the barbarian brute who beats his chest and look, I see what you all did in Egypt and I see the universities you built in Africa. Let me kidnap your minds and drag them over to America and you build it for me too. Matter of fact, I like this Egyptian cotton. I don't know how they grow Egyptian cotton, but you black Egyptians, Africans, you know how to grow Egyptian cotton. We will do this in America because I want this for myself. Not a rabid mindset, and that's the plea. And it's not a plea really, actually. It's a statement. And the statement is saying that, hey, white supremacy, white nationalism has no solid foundation at the core of its ideology. It's ridiculous to think that you're better because of the color of your skin. You fell for the okie doke. Black people didn't. You fell for your scientists who tricked you into believing that a white brain is smarter than a black brain. when the black brain was on the planet first. You need to go after your scholars and attack them. Don't come attack black people when you found out that all the things that you were lied to that you thought made you superior, you found out that it was a bunch of malarkey, it was a bunch of bullshit. Then you get mad at the black person. We didn't lie to you. Hell, Honorable Elijah Muhammad told you the truth from the beginning. He told you where you come from, who grafted you, gave you the names, gave you the location. He told you the truth. So don't get mad at the person who tells you the truth. You take that truth and you build on it, or you build with that truth. You can't build with a mystery or lies. It's impossible. So when you hear these talking heads and you hear white people on the radio or television or newscasters who's trying to come up with every other excuse rather than face the fact that the ideology of racism is fraud. The system, even though it is a system, we see the system. We see the disparaging rules or the disparaging justice that's set between black and white. We see how you slap a white person on the wrist, but you cut the black person's hand off. We see that. I mean, the whole world sees it, black and brown. The Asians sees it themselves. Every other race, non-white, has experienced some racism by white people. Based on what, though? That's the problem. It's only strictly based on one, stolen land, weapons of mass destruction. As a consequence, if you defy any order, if you protest the stolen lands, and a control of the educational system, which will indoctrinate you into actually believing that white is good, black is bad, if it's been passed down from generation to generation. And you can't deny it. That's why in some of your school curriculums, you're taking Christopher Columbus out, because you can't hold up with that lie. That's the first building block that's being snatched. It's a lie, let's take it out, because the lie can't hold anymore. That lie held on for years, for generations, but it can no longer hold on at this present time, so we have to snatch that lie out of there. That's gone. Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. Snatch that right out the books. All right. And it's a lot more that has to be snatched out of the books. You know, the fact that the planet Earth is only 6,000 years old. You got to snatch that lie out of the books. Hell, the archaeologists discovered man that predates 6,000 years ago. You got to snatch it out the books, man. You got to snatch the fact that black people came out of the jungles, lived a jungle life, and made no contributions to society. That's a lie. That's been proven. The Moors taught the Spaniards. The Moors, all in the Renaissance and the Dark Ages, was black, who gave the white man mathematics, science, and medicine. Research that. Eventually, you got to snatch that out the books. Jesus being white, that's been proven. He wasn't Caucasian. Jesus wasn't for Europe. You got to snatch that out of the books. I mean, so much, but by snatching out the books, that's not racist. No, that's not saying that you're being a racist. Not at all. That's simply saying that we're dealing with truth, and the truth shall set you free, both races free, black and white. Even with our Hispanic brothers, they need truth. They need the truth, knowing that you didn't come out of Spain, you didn't come out of Italy. The Spaniards and the Italians came over here and conquered your people and gave you their language, and so have you. But prior to that, you were here, you existed, you had a culture, and you had a language. So let's deal with that. And you sound so, and the ones who, the elderly, stop and like, that all of your grandchildren, your grandparents, and all, you know about the black grandmother that you hid. Everybody knows this. So when you go out and you make a public statement, why the world is looking at you like, huh? 20 years ago, hell, we seen your grandparents and your great grandparents when they first came to America. They was black with this light-skinned grandson and granddaughter. And all of a sudden, you pushed them in the closet and was embarrassed of them. Why? Because you were indoctrinated too. You were made to be ashamed of your black grandmother and your black grandfather. You were made to be ashamed of them. And now you have to pay that price because you turned your back on your ancestors, on your blood. You was ashamed of your blood because white supremacy and white racists says that anything that's black, Latino, melanated is not good, and you bought into it, so you turned your back and turned your nose up. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't even be on the planet. You wouldn't even been born. So you're gonna turn your back on what gave you a start. I mean, that's why these subjects need to be had. For all races. I mean, the discussion has to be had and things has to be proven. We'll keep bringing you these topics because the shooting that took place in El Paso, where he wanted to kill as many Mexicans as he could, and then he didn't go and say, you a Mexican, do you believe Jesus is white? You a Mexican, do you love white people? No, he just looked for brown skin and started shooting. That's all. They just be looking at brown skin. You can't hide who you are. You can't hide your skin. I don't care how much you bleach it. I don't care how much you dye your hair blonde and how you try to hide that accent. Everybody knows you're not fooling it. You can't fool white people. White people know who's white. They know their own. They know who's not white. And they shooting at everything that's not white. And they say, well, the one in Ohio, well, he shot his sister. She might have had a black boyfriend. A lot of whites got killed for being called an N lover. You know what the N mean? That's meaning nothing has changed. You hear these black civil rights leaders and black leaders who were there in the 50s and the 60s, some in the 40s. Hear Paul Mooney, he'll tell you nothing has changed but the weather. Black kids are still being murdered by the police, still been going on. You still hear people saying no justice, no peace. You hear people saying jobs. You hear people saying food. You hear people saying stop the racism. You hear it's still going on. Still going on. And all it takes is just a semi below on the flame, and that flame turns into a roaring fire. It doesn't even have to be a big gust of wind. You can go at that flame of racism and just say, and it'll just it will ignite like if you put some on the barbecue fuel on the flames when you're getting ready to start the pit, and you squeeze that fuel on that barbecue pit, and it blows up. It'll do the same thing when you just go at that flame and just barely blow on it, and it just explodes. The fire turns a roaring fire because it's been steeped so long within this country, and the rhetoric is we can't fully address this issue simply because we have so much in stake within this, and so many of our young white men believe this, that we have to find a way that it won't dampen their spirits because they got so much at stake in believing that they are superior because they're white, and that's their motivation and that's their reason for living. What we would ask you to do, minorities, is to lower your self-esteem Don't be so motivating to aspire to new heights. Share the playing ground. You not be the best that you can be, and let the white man shine, and so we all can get along. And come on, that's ridiculous ideology. That is ridiculous. And the youth, they understand the white youth who been in school with blacks, Hispanic, Asians. They know that what their ancestors was teaching them was a bunch of BS. They seen Asians who were smarter than them. They saw black kids who were smarter than them. They saw black kids who can run, jump faster than, or jump higher, run faster than they could, who were better at math and science than they were. They saw Hispanics who were better at math, science, were better athletes, Asians, all of that. So while you shoving down their throat white supremacy, we better because we white, but reality is they saying they trying to live up to the hype, but reality is showing them no, it's just words. But then when they get around the adults are beating them down with white supremacy. They trying to live up to it until they collapsing under the weight. They're destroying themselves. They're going to drugs. The mental illness is the white supremacy, white nationalists is giving young white folks a mental disease. Fur Prick Radio, we're out.